How Mitakuyepi. Hello, everyone. This is the question and answer video number 5. And I'm going to jump around with the questions. In the last videos I made, I went in order, but there's one that I would like to address, and it's a good question. Actually, it's a lot of questions, but I'll try to get them all. But I will get back to the other questions in time, okay? But I want to answer this one. This is from Bay Area native Chochenyo. I think that's how you pronounce it. You can correct me. There are 4 questions here, so I'll take them one at a time, okay? The first question is, what's your take on sacred spirit medicines such as peyote, San Pedro cactus, sacred tobacco snuffs, angels' trumpets, mushrooms, ayahuasca, bufo alvarius, and etc. Okay, my channel is regarding Lakota spirituality. That's really important to keep in mind. Now, there are many tribes in North and South America, and each tribe has their own culture, and we're not the same. We do have some similarities. For example, we regard the earth as our mother or grandmother, depending on the context. And we believe in the Lakota way that we get our medicines from the land upon which we live. So, when you look at the Lakota culture, you have to look at where we come from, our homeland. And from there, our sacred people, our medicine people, holy people will receive visions that show and instruct which plants are used for what illness. So please keep in mind that when you think of the whole world and you look at all the different plants, there are some plants that only grow in certain areas of this world. So for Lakota people, we use what grows in our homeland. So for example, some of these things that in this question, they don't grow in Lakota country, so we don't use them. They are not part of our spirituality. And what a lot of people do is they think that if they combine all the ways of all the peoples and put it together like a soup, that this is the ultimate tasting soup. This is linear thinking. This is not the Lakota way of thinking. In our culture, we have ceremonies, crying for a vision, for example. We don't use drugs for that. We have a process where we do this internally without the assistance of any outside factors because we're going within. In our culture, we have a story called When the Moon Cried. And this explains a lot of things, like, for example, that women can do this internally. This story explains why that is so. So they don't need a ceremony to do that because it's inside of them. And they don't need a drug either. Okay? So we don't need these things because we go within ourselves to accomplish these things. So these plants don't grow in our area. And I can only speak for the Lakota perspective and from the Lakota perspective, there is no such thing as Native American spirituality because of what I just said a few minutes ago. Every tribe has its own perspective. And some tribes are matriarchal. Very few are patriarchal. Lakota people, we're neither one. And I know there are people today that will say, well, the Lakota way is matriarchal because the teepee belongs to the woman. Yeah, the teepee does belong to the woman. There's a story that explains that too. But we are not matriarchal. We are not patriarchal. We're something else. There's a good study, an anthropological study on our people done by this couple. The woman's name is Marla Powers, and I forgot her husband's name, but if you Google Marla Powers, they have a book that talks about our perspective, and they use the term unilineal, that we're neither one. Yeah, we are not matriarchal, we're not patriarchal. Some instances we seem to lean towards the matrilineal way or the matriarchal way, but in some instances we lean towards the patriarchal way. And then there's some other instances where it's like, well, what is that? Because it's neither one. That's what's really unique about the Lakota culture. So this is why there's different perspectives among the different tribes from North and South America. So if you try to take their ways, like say the people of Peru and the Lakota ways, there's some similarities, but there's some big differences too. And that's okay. Yeah? We're not all supposed to be the same. Because if we were all the same, then, for example, let's say we're all chefs, but nobody knows how to hunt. Yeah, well, we're all chefs, so we're walking around with our cooking utensils, and we're like, "Hey, where's food? How do we make the food? There's no food for us to make." So we all no longer exist because nobody's providing the food. We know how to cook it, but we don't know how to get it. That's what would happen if we were all the same. So it's okay that there's differences. It's okay that some tribes are another way and they may use plants to do certain things, such as these plants on this list. My computer monitor is over there. That's where I have the questions. So that's why I'm looking that way to read them. So we have a different outlook where we don't need these things. But I'm not saying it's wrong, okay? I, as a Lakota person, would never take that because I follow the ancient Lakota star knowledge belief. Peyote is another one. This is not part of our belief system. In fact, the people in that belief system have beliefs that do not follow the Lakota way of thinking. So I can only speak for the Lakota way, okay? So because I don't come from the tribes that use these things, I don't judge them because we're different. It's not my place to say to another tribe, hey, that's wrong. Otherwise, I would be ethnocentric, to judge other cultures by my culture. And that is a product of duality. That's an unhealthy way of thinking. But again, to try to combine different teachings into one is not a healthy thing to do. And that's like getting car parts from Toyota, car parts from Nissan, car parts from Renault, car parts from Fiat. car parts from Volkswagen, car parts from Chevrolet, and trying to combine them into a supercar. And the only way that works is when you force it to do things that it was not designed to do. And it might run for a little while, but only for a little while. It's not going to hold. Yeah, that cup will not hold water. That cup will eventually fall apart. So that's the same thing with when you try to combine traditions from different tribes and put them together. It's really disrespectful to the ancestors of those people. So that's my answer to that. Question number 2. What information was passed down to you from the elders regarding these sacred spirit medicines? See previous answer. Oh, listen to the previous answer. Are these sacred medicines used in sacred sweat lodge ceremonies? Absolutely not. See or listen to the previous answer to question number 1. No, absolutely not. What is your take on those that are traveling to these retreats in Mexico, Amazons, and the United States to experience these sacred spirit plant medicines? See answer to number 1. You can't mix these things. In duality, people will use a medicine in a selfish way because they want more. And that is indicating they're not satisfied with themselves, which means they're not at peace within yourself. To have peace within yourself requires you to work on you, for you to have communication with you. And you don't need a drug for that. You don't need a plant for that. There are stories where people, for example, misuse an elk medicine. I have a video on that, in fact. If I find it, I will link it because I have a lot of videos on YouTube. And when you misuse a medicine, that's unhealthy communication, which means the act of misusing a medicine that's unhealthy, that goes out because you're doing it. Well, according to our natural law of generosity, Wawukie, that's going to come back 4 times as strong to you. So that means the act of abusing and misusing a medicine is going to mess you up big time. You don't need to do things to have more so you can say to others, yeah, I did all this. Yeah, because you're putting yourself above others. And that's not natural. In the Lakota way, we have this medicine wheel, and it's represented in 4 sections, but it's level. One section is not above other sections. Nobody is above the other. And I think a lot of people who do these things in this question are thinking in a linear way. They want to have peace and understanding and to go into their superconscious and see the world as it really is. So they're enlightened. This is a dualistic term because it gives you the idea, the connotation that enlightenment is up here and everybody else is down here. That's not the goal in life. The goal in life is to be in communication with yourself, to have peace with yourself, and you don't need a drug for that. And then by nature, this projects out from you to everything around you. So you nurture your connections to yourself without drugs. And this is how you nurture your connections to everything around you. And you see everybody as important. This is Mitakuyepi. And when there's difficulty, you learn from it, you make the best of it, and you transform that. You don't need a drug for that. Now, the tribes that use these kind of things, maybe they have their reasons, but I think it's Western thinking people who are dualistic and linear thinking, when they come to these areas to take these things, what's the goal? You have everything inside of yourself. That's all you need. So the comment is, sorry for all the questions, but I feel you're going to need a separate video for this one. Yeah, here's the video. And so thank you for the question. Bay Area native Chocheño. Like I said, I'm speaking from the Lakota perspective, not the Native American perspective, because there is no Native American perspective. As I said, we all have different cultures, different languages, and different perspectives. Yes, there are some common things, as I mentioned, but we are different. And different is okay. Yeah. So I'm not saying this is bad, all right? But when people are in a dualistic thinking way, they use this in an unhealthy way. I've seen a video where somebody was saying, yeah, my sister and I, we were drinking this, what is this called? Ayahuasca. And yeah, getting our nightly visions. I think that is linear thinking. You need you. You need yourself, and you don't need a drug to find yourself because you're right here. Yeah. And maybe you need somebody to talk to sometimes, somebody who's a good listener and who may see things that you don't see and could guide you, but ultimately you're the one that does the work for you so that you can help others and nurture the communications to everything around you, animals, plants, people, all of Makashka. Okay, so thank you for that question. And I do have a video about Native American church, and it is controversial to some people, but for me, I'm speaking from the Lakota perspective. So I will put a link to that down in the description because it's very related to this question. Okay? Thank you for the question. And as I like to say, in our culture, we have no word for goodbye because everything is a circle. So we say, Doksha Ake. Until next time. And I will catch you in the next video.